Greetings, everybody. It's your boy right here, Prof X. Listen, this is the part of the episode that I think I should have done before I started everything, because this is the episode that gives us a background of Makandiwa's original and occultic origins. It takes us back to the very, very first time that Makandiwa started doing all these prophetic things, and how did he transition from who he really was, from the traditional sector to the religious sector. It takes us back, way, way, way back. This part of the history, trust me, listen to me very carefully. This part of the history is very sensitive. And this part of the history can actually lead to someone losing their life. And when I say someone, I'm not referring to me. I'm saying to the one person that knows this part of the history. And the one person that knows this part of the history happens to be in Chikurubi maximum prison. And this person happens to be Emmanuel Makandiwa's uncle. How does this one person knows this part of the history and nobody else doesn't know about it? And what you should be asking yourself is, why is this uncle in prison? With all the connections that Emmanuel Makandiwa has in Zimbabwe, why is his uncle still stuck in prison? Makandiwa can pay off anyone to get the uncle out. He has done it so many times on so many individuals. But this specific uncle, he would rather let him rot in prison for the rest of his entire life. Why? Because he knows some information that might change the entire narrative about what Makandiwa stands for and who Makandiwa really is. So let's go back, way back, way, way, way back into time. And back into time, that's when Makandiwa and this uncle started what they started. It is believed, according to the uncle, not just according to the uncle, there's a letter that the uncle wrote that did not reach Makandiwa. I'm not yet in possession of the letter, but I have a picture of the letter that the uncle wrote in prison to Makandiwa. And the person that was supposed to deliver that letter realized that the contents of this letter might also lead him into trouble, might also lead him into losing his life. So instead of delivering the letter, he decided to take it, put it in his back pocket, and go home. And Pastor T knows about this story because Pastor T is the one that used to visit this uncle of Makandiwa that is in prison. So what's the gist? What's the story behind? Makandiwa and this uncle used to be native doctors. I know this is far, far-fetched. When did you start knowing Makandiwa? Which part of the history of Makandiwa do you know? Tell me now. Everyone started knowing Makandiwa, in the AFM era. Everyone started knowing Makandiwa as an AFM pastor. And from then, that's his entire foundation. Have you ever heard about him other than from the era of the AFM? No, you haven't. So now let me bring you the part of the story that is very juicy, the part of the story that is very sensitive, and the part of the story that should give you an idea of the type of a man that you are all following. Makandiwa and his uncle used to be native doctors. In Zim, they called them Tsikamutanda. And the way these Tsikamutandas operate, the way that they used to operate, and the Tsikamutandas are originally from Muzarabani. The original Tsikamutanda happens to be Makandiwa's uncle. You don't know this. You don't have abilities of research. You have never researched. You just saw his miracle baby. You just saw his miracle weight loss demonstrations. You just saw all those other anointed towels and oils, and you believed in him, but you never took time to understand, where is this coming from? Now let me help you. Let me enlighten you. Hence, I called this series the Enlightenment series. You're not supposed to like what I'll tell you because it's disappointing. You're not supposed to accept it. You have to deny it so that you can justify what you've already believed. The most difficult thing to do on this planet, the most difficult project that anyone can work on in this life, is changing human mindset. It's changing a belief system. That's a project that takes years, decades. And it might even be impossible to complete that project. But either way, we're going to do what we can to just give you bits and pieces until you accept the truth and know the truth and live in the truth. Back in the days, him and his uncle, they were doing these traditional ritualistics. ritualistic, activities. What they used to do was to visit villagers that had problems, be it family problems, witchcraft problems. Even in a community, that Tsikamutanda will be invited. And when he arrives, and there's a speculation of a witch in the village, the Tsikamutanda will just go and start. And when he goes to the community or to the village, he just draws a line on the sand. And he will ask everyone to cross that line. You cross. If you are the witch, you cross that line and you are the witch, you start burning. According to our parents, that's what they told us. They witnessed these things. You start burning. And when you start burning, you start confessing. From A to Z, you start confessing all the children that you ate. You start confessing everything that you've ever done in this whole witchcraft thing. So that's what Makandiwa's angle used to do, together with Makandiwa. These Tsikamutandas, they would go to villages, they would take out goblins out of people's houses. And they'll get, livestock as payment. They'll get cattle, they'll get goats, they'll get chickens, so that they can be paid for the service that they would have performed. So what led to that anger in prison? That anger became greedy, and then he started collecting, unnecessarily livestock of people. And that's the reason why he's in prison right now. But his charges were inflated. I think he was sentenced for 20 to 30 years, which I don't think is justified. But all that was because Makandiwa facilitated for that sentence. For all that time this guy has been in prison, why has he never gotten a parole, a presidential parole, like all the other people that are in prison? Because that will never happen. Makandiwa will never let that happen. He would rather pay every single dime that he has to make sure that that angle stays there and he never comes out to tell this part of the story. And this guy that visited, that told this story, that was told this story by the uncle, he was surprised when he heard that Makandiwa is now a prophet. He said, never, it's impossible. How can Makandiwa be doing church things? It's impossible. Benji Budzijena can never do church things. Let me write a letter to him now to check and confirm if what you're telling me is true. Benji is a native doctor. Don't tell me about church. How is he doing church? He can't be doing church. The Ango wrote a letter to Makandiwa and he gave it to this guy. On his way, this guy, the Spirit of the Living God, I think, breathed into his head and said, hey, Baba, if you deliver this letter, you'll be terminated because it will be a confirmation that you also now know the secret. When this guy was about to give Pastor T this letter, he just changed his mind. He said, no, man, let me keep it. And then he went with it. Now I'm in communication with the guy that received the letter, that has the copy of the letter. But the letter is in Zimbabwe. We are trying to make a plan to make sure that it comes here. I only have a picture of the letter. I don't want to present the picture as yet before I have the physical letter, which the uncle wrote. And I'm sure by now, Makandiwa has already done whatever that he can to make sure that this uncle does not talk, or to make sure that that uncle is eliminated. So that's where Makandiwa is coming from. That's his origins. That's how he started as a native doctor. I don't care. You can all now start to say, no, people change. Saul changed to Paul. It's okay. I'm not denying that. I'm not disputing that. If he changed, it's okay. But the problem with Makandiwa is he has not yet changed. He is still a native doctor that is wearing a suit. He is still a native doctor that is using the Bible. He is still a native doctor doing those traditional rituals, but using the church as a front. You can accept, deny this, it's all up to you, but in Shona they say, vamwe vakaudzwa hondo nemurwere wepfungwa vakamushora vakamuta uyu anorwara. In English translation, it simply means that the people were told about an coming war by someone who was mad, but they all said, don't listen to this one. He's crazy. It's up to you. You say, don't listen to this one. He's crazy. It's just a barking dog. But I have told you what you didn't know. You have heard this here first from Prof X. And when I present that letter to you, that will be confirmation. I know some will still say, come on, you wrote that letter yourself. But I think it has. I saw the address, the date. Did it have a date? It didn't have a date. But the paper on which it was written, I think it can be enough. And the context and the deep Shona language that was used by the Ango to talk to his niece, I think you understand, to his nephew. So that's where our guy is coming from. That's where Benji is coming. That's where Shingrai Chirume is coming from. So from Benji Vuzijena, he changed his name. He realized, no man, I can't keep on using Benji. How about I call myself Shingrai? Then he changed his name from Benji Vuzijena to Shingrai. And then he changed his name again to Chirume. He started calling him Shingrai Chirume. I realized that, no man, now I want to wear a suit and hold a Bible and preach to the people. How can I rebrand again so that I can meet the modern day spiritual customers? How about if I call myself Emmanuel? What does Emmanuel mean again? Does it mean Jesus is with us or the Lord is with us? Something like that. It's more like Jesus. Then he's found Emmanuel. Now he calls himself Emmanuel. But that's not his original name. It's just a front to cover up for his background, for his true background. Digest. Think about it. Process it. Be defensive. Say all you want. But I've just given you the truth about the man that you're following. An entire native doctor from Muzarabani doing gimmicks in front of you in the name of Jesus. Reading scriptures in front of you just to confuse you. No wonder why there are all these mysterious things happening around him. All these fake miracles. All these miscalculated prophecies. This is the guy that told us that you will never take the vaccine. This is the guy that came live on his video. Me, I would rather die than take the vaccine. They would rather take me and put me in prison. I will never take the vaccine. The vaccine came, the guy came. Me, I'm not against vaccines. I never said I'm against vaccines. That's the guy that you all follow and believe. He has been a liar. He's still a liar. He will forever be a liar. He will continue fooling you for now, tomorrow, forever, and ever. I hope you understood the video. I hope it makes sense. I hope you can connect the dots. And if you do, if you can, if you still want to hear more, subscribe to my channel and click the notification icon so that you become the first to hear and know that I have made an update. Subscribe.